In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, Master of the day of requital. Thee we beseech for help, guide us on the right path. My name is Eric Farad Muhammad, and I'm just been doing some recordings lately, primarily, going into in-depth detail about, what I know. And I do have a different perspective on things. I'm going to take us back to the year of 2008, the election of Barack Obama. In 2007, I was selling AT&T U-verse in Detroit, Michigan. I was pretty successful at it, but I started having some issues, some spiritual issues, and my spiritual issues were based in my root of knowing Master Farad Muhammad and my occult knowledge, which I have been trained in private many years. Now my training, give you my background on my training. Yes, I was registered Nation of Islam Muslim that left and went to study in Sacramento at one of Wafdi Muhammad's masjids. Those were orders, and I still went to the study groups in Sacramento with the brothers. But I was very quiet. I never revealed any information about myself other than, just here to learn. And, when I was in the masjids, I took my shahada, all that, because I'm a Muslim. I'm a Muslim through and through. I do what I'm told to do, but I always have to understand. So I study a lot. I try to. Now, going back to the mosque or the masjids and then the learning, it was all a process. So in 2007, I start receiving orders around to report in to the Nation of Islam. But I had a message to give about Barack Obama. And the message that kept getting intuned on my brain, that kept being forced on my mindset, was, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I refused to make the proper changes in my life and to, go in because, I thought that Barack Obama was a good thing. And then when I listened to Minister Farrakhan, he spoke of him in glowing light as a messianic figure, so on and so forth. So I gave the situation a benefit of the doubt that, maybe all the things that the training I'd been through in secret and everything was, maybe I was the one being deceived. Okay? So I was told to report to Florida, where I had a warrant in Florida. It was all part of a huge, elaborate plan. Me going into Florida 2001, where I initially caught the case, part of a huge, elaborate plan. Years of planning. And not my planning, per se. It was Master Farad Muhammad's planning. So, 2007, I opposed Allah's will and said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to cause any trouble in Chicago for Barack Obama or Minister Farrakhan, who was backing him. But Allah was so upset about the situation that he told me if I don't report into the Nation of Islam, that he's going to throw me into prison. And I was so for Barack Obama that I said, go ahead. I was thrown into, I went to Florida knowing damn well I had a warrant. So I'm loyalist. I'm loyal to Allah. And I owe him my life. I owe him everything. Okay. So, and when I got to Florida, everybody knew I was nervous. I was down there setting up a business deal with a great businessman, and I think he was going through some personal struggles at that time by the name of Carlos Linares. Brilliant mind. I have to give him his, he's a brilliant businessman. And I ended up getting pulled over and catching, going back to Tallahassee and ended up doing 4 years in prison. Now, while in prison, Allah, Master Farah Muhammad, spoke to me every day. Every day. And the first year of prison was quite hard, but, at this time, Barack Obama had been elected president, and, everybody was so excited, and, if that was a sacrifice that I had to make, then so be it. So Allah would make me read these books and study, and that's where he took me. I learned the lessons of triple darkness. I learned, quite a bit of leadership lessons. Learned a lot of secret Freemasonry stuff that Allah would teach me, and I pray with the Muslims, but I would never renounce Master Farah Muhammad. That was always a big thing that with Orthodox Muslims, you have to denounce Master Farah Muhammad. This is shriek. Elijah Muhammad's no messenger, so on and so forth. So as time went on, strange things started happening in the prison. I was very, very, very powerful individual that came from nothing. I was in Florida, I was from Chicago, but I started to creep up and take control over certain things around the prison out of necessity. I didn't want to run a jail or a prison or any of that, none of that nature, but it was out of necessity for survival because I'm a smaller man, 5'7", 5'8", and I had to use, my mind. So, the first couple of years of Obama's administration, he had a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of opposition, a lot of white folks didn't like his agenda, didn't like him. Well, after serving 4 years in Florida, I had probation after following. They gave me prison plus probation. Oh God, it was terrible. When I was supposed to get out of prison, they said I had another charge back in Fort Lauderdale, and they sent me back. You gotta imagine after doing 4 years, think you're gonna get out, and they handcuff you and take you back to jail. Right? So my instincts were going off. My godly instincts. It was a trap. They were on me. They were on me. Oh my! They were on me. When I say they were on me, the authorities, they gave themselves away in Florida a little bit. That I was definitely some super threat that needed to be contained. But, you gotta understand that I have been raised in these secret occult schools where they're not physical. And they're not physical. They're not physical places. So, it has a lot to do with the third eye mind training. Might as well call it, if this was to use a movie analogy, Jedi training, right? And it was, going out, just thinking back on that time, man, it just was so hard. I looked at everything I was going through, and Florida. And when I got out, I had another case down there, like I said, in Fort Lauderdale. And it was so hard dealing with all this. Once I beat that, I had no money, and I was on probation, and I couldn't leave the state. Now, before, when I was in prison, I had already had my probation transferred back to Illinois. But because of the new case, that I couldn't leave the state. Now, the way they did it was that usually if you've been 4 years in prison, I could have handled that other case, get shipped back down to the county, taken care of. There was no case until the last week of my prison sentence. It was all planned, deviously planned. So when I got out of prison, this year was 2011, and they stated to me, you can't leave Florida. I had no money on me. My mother, I hadn't spoken to her in quite a while. They told me I had a week to find a place to live, or they were going to violate me. And Allah, provided for me. Some guys that used to work for me were down in Fort Lauderdale doing AT&T, and I ran into them at the Walmart, and I stayed with them, and we started working. And Allah told me to go back to Chicago, so I went back to Chicago, and I launched an energy campaign with a friend of mine named Jay Dunn. And he was the CEO of Prime United Marketing at that time. And, we had a good friendship. We grew up in the business together, I guess, and I was trying to make it just work out. Now, I had went through some extreme training in prison, and at that time, I really, really wanted to make an impact, because I had taken quite a few steps back. So I got to Chicago. We did the energy thing. Things were taking off, and the probation department, I finally got it transferred to Illinois. It was giving me the hardest time. The office was taking off, doing quite well. We were doing great, and the police were giving me the hardest time. Now, you must remember, Rahm Emanuel, I think became mayor of Chicago in 2012, if I'm not, or 2010. He was mayor when I got back. He was mayor. It wasn't Daley. And, Rahm Emanuel was the chief of staff for Barack Obama. Now, when these raids start happening, I call, FOI, Nation of Islam, like, I need security. I need, I have more than enough money. I need a little help, influence to get these people off of me, And the raids were coming. They were searching my files, and I was doing energy. So in 2012, the city of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel decided to aggregate the whole city electricity, which had a lot to do with the industry I was in. And Allah told me, if you go back to this probation office, they're going to kill you. They had froze my bank accounts. They were on me. Oh my God, it was pretty intense. So I stopped going in. I was there at the probation office, and I didn't go inside because my instincts, I call it my godly instincts, were going off. It was a trap, and they were definitely out to assassinate me. They didn't want me locked back up. They wanted me dead. So my building was getting raided weekly, not once or twice, but weekly. And because I was on probation, they could do that. The building was in my name. whew, I just reliving this it gives me chills. So, the minister didn't respond back. Anybody didn't respond back. We got another building on 95th, because the one we had on Cermak, Cermak in California, in Chicago. We had another one on 95th, and we were renting from Senator O'Malley, and we're not lightweights, understand. Jay wasn't a lightweight. Jay is not a lightweight. I wasn't a lightweight, and we knew people, and so over there on 95th, they hated us too. Oh God, they hated us, and I just didn't understand it. But I did because of my training and everything. I was like, nobody's supposed to know about this, but they were so on me, and it was trying times. So when they aggregated the whole city, the business dried up, and we had to make moves. And I said, I'm going to go to California, and I was out in California, and I was going to move some things around in California, because I have ties in California, and I used to dibble a dab in marijuana in California. I'm not going to lie to the believers. So as time went on, I ran out there, and I was back and forth from California, Arizona to Chicago. It just such a depressing time because I just didn't understand why, I was having so much pressure put on me. A man can only take so much. So I was crying out. I had tried to turn to Allah, and I returned to Chicago. I was still moving a couple pounds here and there a week, and I went to my mother's house to pray. My mother had passed away, but I went to her house to lay down, and clear my mind, and there was a lot of adversity going on in the streets in Chicago, and I had did something that I wasn't proud of. So in Chicago, in my mother's house in Glenwood, I went to sleep and I woke up and there were orbs all around me, and it was the change of my life, and I was so hurt, so deeply hurt, because Minister Farrakhan, Barack Obama, Barack Obama is not who we think he is, because we could talk about all the pressure that the outside forces can put on you. They put pressure on you, but it still could change who you are as a person. You understand? That's just for give you example. Men in prison say, well, I haven't been with a woman in 3 years, 4 years, but if you're a strong black man, you're not going to break from your principles and say, well, I'm going to let this other man, play with my penis. Excuse my language, but that's just, if you have values, you're going to stick to your core values of who you are. And so the Barack Obama thing, I know way more about what's going on the back end than most do, because when Rahm Emanuel attacked me, the whole city of Chicago attacked me, the Democratic machine, because it was Democrats in power. I had to start using my gifts that God had given me and all this secret training, which I half-heartedly took as a joke. I'm not going to. I learned in private. I did everything I was supposed to do, but I didn't think it would, I never talked about it because it wasn't relevant. And when it became relevant, I was in shock. Because Allah is not playing at all. So this whole weather event thing didn't just happen overnight. It didn't. The situation with Barack Obama When Allah tells us to get away from something that's not good for us, or He gives a messenger, don't vote, don't get involved in elections, because they plan and Allah plans, but Allah is the best of planners. And the whole thing with the Scientology, with the Nation of Islam, so let's say, for example, they have some good technology over there, right? Let's say they have some things that are of value or of that to the Nation of Islam, right? Who am I to argue? I don't know the actual facts behind it. Who am I to just make a decision on some type of technology that these individuals have developed, right? However, when you look at the root of Hubbard, you see his connection to Crowley. And therefore, we could never, ever publicly acknowledge anything as far as a connection. Right then and there, you cannot do that. That's hypocritical. Hypocrisy at the highest level. We can't do that. And that was done. Regardless, it was done, and it was done proudly and boldly. And the gods, the scientists, you can't mix Islam with that. So if there was some technology as far as health benefits or mental benefits, then those technologies should have been taken and redefined and redeveloped and to our own. Period. And that's a big if. Not even saying that would have been allowed. But and you know, I don't know if Pastor Farad would allow that, because it's a slap in the face of, I don't be Elijah Muhammad, it's a slap in the face of Master Farad Muhammad when you have said God came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad and raised up Elijah Muhammad and taught him, and you didn't teach. You don't think He gave him enough information for your mental health, for your physical health, for your spiritual health? Doesn't make any sense. This whole thing about the angels and all this other stuff, listen, you know, anybody that wants to wear this title, and you can have it. I assure you, the hard part's done anyway, but you can still have it. Allah's not playing. And I've said some outlandish things, but I've done some outlandish things. And I don't have anything to lose. I have everything to gain. Only person I trusted in at this point is Allah. I don't trust. You ask me, do I trust Minister Farrakhan? No, I don't trust Minister Farrakhan, but I respect him. I've been through too much to watch brothers back up for me and look at me and see what was going to happen. I've heard too many speeches of grandeur and things of that nature, and I'm seeing good works now. I've seen good works. Can't dispute those things, but I've seen some things that have what's going on. And my secret history comes into play. The government, United States government, thinks I'm a very important person. See, I was under alias Eric Montgomery Perkins. I wasn't showing any ties to the Nation of Islam. I never spoke on my ties to the Nation of Islam. But the United States government thought I was a very, very important person. And that's what forced me forward. Because I was under full-fledged attack. Now, that was a hard time, but you got to understand that I've broke my probation in 2011 and didn't get called back up to 2016. And if you go to Eric Farad Muhammad or EF Muhammad on his Instagram page, I pretty much announced that I was leaving, going into jail or prison or dying, that I had Operation Ali, that the Nation of Islam, we were now commencing. That was June 2nd, 2016. I put out a video with me at the FBI, with, me playing Tupac on the video. Against all odds, 21 gun salute. Operation Ali has now commenced. I tweeted the minister. Operation Ali has now commenced, and I'm going in. The angels are activated, and all hell broke loose. I mean, literally, all hell broke loose, and you know nothing about it. None of you know anything about it except Minister Farrakhan. So, in the year, what year was this? 13? Minister Farrakhan started talking about the death angel is in America. Well, I was the person communicating with Minister Farrakhan about everything. And I don't even know when he made that death angel speech. It was in 17, but I came 2013. Right? I was activated. Now, I was a bad, tough son of a gun before that now. Fierce. Reputation solid. Never been robbed in my life. Not at gunpoint, not on a knife. And if it was tried, I fought. That's who I was, and that's who I forever, I guess, shall be. They used to lock me up in jails and prisons. Every moment I was plotting an escape. That's just who I was as a person. I was the guy, like, I'm the bad guy. I'm going to beat any situation. And Allah knew this, or helped define this inside of me. And so all these events about weather and so on and so forth, and like people, like I was far more popular before all that. I'm just popular. I'm just feared now. I know people waiting for me to get my head blown off, and if it ain't happened by now, I don't think it's gonna happen, people. And then you gotta understand that I'm talking to orbs, angels, and jinn. And we don't talk about that in the Nation of Islam. And I tell you 188,000% that the Quran is absolutely true. So if the Quran is absolutely true, where would that leave Master Farad and Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Master Farad is Allah in person, period. Right? Allah does what he wants, man. Don't even question it. The angels are real. The 7 levels of heaven are real. I don't know what to tell you, but other than truth right now. The baby planes, Middle Earth, you don't know anything. You have no clue, and you are in the bowels of the devil. And to escape, you have to separate. Not integrate, not take on more of their ways, not take on more of their teachings. Separate. It's opposite. And everybody spread out all over the place and feel like you have all this growth opportunity. I was watching a young brother I really like, his brother Ben X. Very humble, God-fearing young man. So I'm talking about building an all-black business complex. And I was like, that's so beautiful. But where are you building it? Where are you building this at? Are you building it in Texas? Are you building it in Detroit? That's the big difference at this point. Are you building it in New York, or are you building it in Chicago? That's the difference. Are you building it in LA, or are you building it, in Milwaukee or Cleveland? It's a big difference. Because once you know the time, and you have divine wisdom, and you know not to involve yourself because the messenger told you not to get involved in the politics. Because they plan and we plan. And in this time, if I've shown my skills in the occult sciences, why? I have to use my godly voice now. Why are you not listening? Do you want to die? Do you want to be destroyed? Do you want to feel the wrath of God Almighty? And it's not for you. It's not for you. But they're hiding behind you. And that makes us no difference. See, I can go from a regular individual like yourself to a God. Stop taking me as a joke. Stop thinking you know what's inside of me. Because I can uplift you all or I can destroy you all. That is the God that's inside of me. That spark has been ignited. There is no need to look or wait for anyone else or anything else because it ends here with me. It ends here because I am Muhammad. Oh, I hate to come out of, my zone yet. But the God in me, it's time and it's rising. I will not defeat the enemies that be and to put up with this nonsense. I'm going to end this. And I really, really want to talk to, I got to talk to some chief minister. I'm going to have to talk to you. I want to talk to you before you leave. That would be a great gift from Allah for both of us, I think. And I've said some harsh things. But you got to understand, minister. You know what I've been through. That's why you always tell them to back up off me. I understand. Because you know what I've been through. You'll make a man, if he wasn't insane, he'll kind of make you insane when you take on everybody. CIA, FBI, police, KKK, got your own black devils, the gangs. You know this. You know my reputation. Everybody. Then your brother turned on you. My brother turned on me. And I let him live. I sent a couple warnings to him here and there. And that's between me and him. But I love him. So that's why I love you too, minister. So I love you. Don't ever think. See, if they came and attacked you tonight, I'm coming in that instance. Fighting now. Fighting. Oh, and you know how I fight. But I'm not pleased. Then respect is, sometimes you got to take your respect, I guess. But I respect you so much, and I don't. What you built is what you built. So if Allah says I'll take that and give it to you. When Allah does that, then that's when that happens. I don't force those things. I don't care how much power I have. I have so much respect for you. But brother, I as a Muslim, I can't lie for you. I can't lie to the people for you. Mistake after mistake, because there were mistakes, because I was here to, this is a warner, don't do that. And you didn't listen. Just like I haven't listened about certain things, and when you don't listen to Allah, brother, oh, that's far, far more worse.